Good morning, my fellow yogic travelers. I'm mighty glad to be alive today, and I hope that you are too as we continue to live, laugh, love, learn, linger, live the life we love. As we're moving on, week by week, day by day, it's poem day. I always like to listen to the words of people who can say it beautifully. This is called To Be One with Each Other by George Eliot. What greater thing is there for two human souls than to feel they're joined together, to strengthen each other in all labor, to minister to each other in sorrow, to share with each other in all gladness, to be one with each other in the silent, unspoken memories. I hope you have some friends, loved ones, spouse, children, whoever fits the bill, that you can also say, I know how to be one with each other. All right, for my journaling friends out there, the inner teacher is my question to you. Who is your source of inspiration? What qualities are you drawn to them? In them are you drawn to? And what does that reveal to you about your inner teacher? So 3 questions. Who is your source of inspiration? What qualities are you drawn to in them? And what does that reveal about your inner teacher? Let me know what you're thinking. I'll be glad to discuss it with you. All right, so my teacher, first and foremost, I always like to get some yoga stuff in there. The technical definition of yoga is uniting the individual soul with the universal spirit. And even with all our technical advancements and material comforts, whatever kind of zenith we have reached compared to what other people experienced prior to our moment in history, it's not brought us mental peace or physical freedom. So although yoga is not a religion, it gets you involved in living a virtuous life, which is religious, or it appears religious. And so really yoga is a self-culture. It's more like a self-psychology, a self-metaphysic than it is a religious teaching. Therefore, it has no denomination. And yoga is not about exhibitionism. You develop humility along with your intelligence so that the light of yoga keeps going on, progressing, but without arrogance. And then you'll enjoy health and the fruits of this world, and yet your mind is serene and goes inwards towards itself. This is the first thing to learn about yoga. So I hope that your practice teaches you the pleasant life of enjoyment, the good life of engagement, and the meaningful life of affiliation. So let purity of your motivation be your guide and constancy of action be your way. Remember, our current state, whether it's individually or in the world, is not inevitable or final. And yoga is the perfect kind of model of what I call attention density, where you pay concentrated and consistent attention to all the issues surrounding a given change, and then you make it happen, sankalpa, intention, and then you live to the change before the change happens. And that's the way you're going to get rid of the burden of who you thought you were. Remember, enlightenment is from the self, not for the self. Yeah, you're going to disappear like you never existed before. Anyway, this week, next week, I'm going to talk about the 8 stages of development, psychosocial development, as coined by Erik Erikson. And these stages of development from infancy to late adulthood, each stage is a time to confront and master new challenges. And you build successfully on the previous stage. And if you don't, you can expect it to reappear at some later stage because it's incomplete. But then if you do meet the challenge, you bring the corresponding virtue along with you into the next stage. And so the first stage is also toddler, the first 2 years, he calls it trust versus mistrust. You have to ask yourself this question: can I trust the world? If you had initial nurturing, care, consistency, warmth, regularity, food, then the world seems dependable, reliable. But if in any way there was neglectfulness or abusiveness, and everybody has a little bit of it, I mean to the level of trauma or something that doesn't serve the newborn well, then the world is undependable, unpredictable, and dangerous. So can you answer that question? Can I trust the world? I'm fortunate to say that I can. Doesn't mean my eyes are closed and I don't see other stuff. But for me, I'm happy to say that I wasn't scarred that much. Now, too much inner child worship, however, is a backward constellation, because remember, the child is apolitical, isn't thinking about its civic, social, and responsibilities. It's disempowered. It's first learning to use its body and its mind, and hasn't developed that yet. And then it always has that victim attitude. It's bigger than me. What can I do about it? So that's the negative aspect of too much child worship or wound worship. And although it's important to be able to speak your truth and say what you know, what you feel, like we say, moan and groan and you're on your own. A certain amount of complaining beyond a certain amount doesn't make sense. Save your best advice for yourself. And so that always brings me to the end of what I like to share every single day. How are you using the power of positive mental attitude to your benefit? If you believe, and I do, that spirit is a living presence filled with truth, goodness, beauty, blessing, and inexhaustible supply of power that's never caught in any final form. But if you add it to any system of thought, it'll complement it. So make your affirmations a daily practice, and then you'll be living proof of how true it is to think positive thoughts and see how your life reflects that. So may you all have your version of what I call selective sifting. Choose the thoughts, thought control, that serve you. Don't be tied to resistance, but be eager, enthusiastic in allowing the greatness of what life is, the magnificence of life in. Peace be with you all.